So check this out, guys. I've done several videos on the different topics that are coming out on the test. The first couple of videos are the most types of questions that you're going to see on those topics. So this is the last video I'm making because this is the least valuable topic to know, because there's only 2 questions on arithmetic and geometric sequences. So before we even start going over those 2 questions, I just want to remind you that arithmetic have a common difference. Okay, so if you want to jot down some notes, write down that arithmetic have a common difference D, and geometric has a common ratio. Geometric has a common ratio. Now, again, this video, we could say that this video is for A students because there's only 2 of these questions on the final exam. So if you're just aiming to scrape by with the C minus, this is the last thing you should be studying, right? Because there's only 2 questions with regards to arithmetic and geometric. Now, as you can see, there's a simple question like this one right here. It says, determine whether the sequence is arithmetic, geometric, or neither. So all you have to do is decide if it's arithmetic or if it's geometric. In other words, decide if you have a common difference D or a common ratio R. Now, either way, Philip, to determine that, you need to pick a number and then either subtract the number, the one right before it, from it, or divide by the previous number, right? So you're going to pick a number, like let's say 8, and if you subtract 32 from it, you're going to get
26. No, 24.
Let me actually write it out. 8 take away 32, that gives you a negative 24. So if you're thinking common difference, we're saying that this is a common difference, negative 24. But is it really common? Because if I pick 148 and subtract 512 from it, 148 take away 512, I'm doing it on a calculator, that's negative 364. So there's definitely not a common difference. In order for it to be a common difference, it has to exist in every single, when I do the difference in every single pair of numbers. So an example of an arithmetic would be something like 2, 4, 6, 8, because right there's a common difference of 2, right? If I say 8 take away 6, that's 2. 6 take away 4, that's 2. 4 take away 2, that's 2. So right there'd be a common difference. This one would be arithmetic, right? That one would be arithmetic, but we don't have that as a list. They're asking, is this one arithmetic? And we know for sure it's not arithmetic because it does not have a common difference. So let me clear this up. The question is, does it have a common ratio? So again, for common ratio, we need to take a number and divide it by the previous number. So if I go 8 divided by 32, 8 divided by 32 on a calculator is 0.25. If you were to reduce it without a calculator, just reduce by 4. Actually, reduce by 8. What am I saying? 4. Reduce by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So the common ratio looks like it's 1/4, right? Now let's check and see if it's common in all of the terms. So 8 divided by 32, that gave us 1/4. If I did 32 divided by 148, let's see what happens. 32 divided by 148. Let me try to reduce both by 32. So that'll give us a 1 up on top, and 148 divided by 32, that does not give us a 4. It gives me a 4.625. So we know that it doesn't have a common ratio either. Does that make sense? So the answer is that it's not arithmetic, it's not geometric, it's neither. Okay, so there's going to be one question like that where you just need to check, do you have a common difference or do you have a common ratio? And when I say common, it has to be in every single term. So if 8 over 32 gave me 1/4, then 32 over 148 should also give me 1/4 if it's a common ratio. Just the same, 148 over 512, that should also give me 1/4 as a common ratio. But as we saw here, when we tried to do 32 over 148, it didn't give us 1/4. It gave us 1 over 4.625, whatever. It's not 1/4. Okay, it didn't work. So there is no common difference. There is no common ratio, so we say neither. Let's actually do one where we actually have to know the a sub nth rule. So the previous question was just identifying, do you have a common ratio, do you have a common difference? Right here, it's telling us to write an equation for the nth term of the geometric sequence. So they are telling you that it's geometric. They're not saying, is it geometric? They're not asking you, they're telling you, this list of numbers is geometric. Now, when they tell you that it's geometric, that kind of tells you something. It tells you what? That it has a common ratio. Okay, so let's find out that common ratio. And how do we find the common ratio? You pick a number and you divide it by the previous number. So if I did 162 divided by negative 486, 162 divided by negative 486. On a calculator, 162 divided by negative 486, we get negative 0.333333. That is negative 1/3. Now, you don't have to verify, but if you wanted to, you could take the negative 486 and divide it by the previous number, 1458, and you'll also get negative 1/3. So we know that there's a common ratio, and we especially know that because they told us that it's a geometric sequence. Now, once you know that the common ratio is negative 1/3, now we could calculate and find whatever number they want us to find. So let me first, So common ratio was negative 1/3. Now here's the kicker. In order for you to write an equation for the nth term, we need to remember the a sub nth rule for a geometric series. So that is a sub n equals r, well, a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. We need to remember that. Okay? A students, if you're going for that A, memorize that a sub nth rule. Now remember, a sub 1 is simply, this value right here is simply your first number. A sub 1 is really 1458. So you put 1458. Now the common ratio we just found out was negative 1/3. So you put negative 1/3 right in the r position. And the exponent of n minus 1 is still n minus 1. And here is your equation that they're asking for. A sub n equals 1458 times, in parentheses, negative 1/3, and then to the power of n minus 1. That is the equation that produces this list. What do I mean by that? If I plug in a 1 into the n position, 1 take away 1 is 0. Negative 1/3 to the 0 power is 1, and 1458 times 1 is 1458. So what I want you to understand is if I plug in a 1 right here, I do get 1458, which is my first number. If I were to plug in a 2 right here, that would be 2 take away 1, which is 1. Negative 1/3 to the power of 1 is negative 1/3 times 1458 will give you this second term. So this is the machine that produces this list. So if you wanted the first number, plug in a 1, it'll give you the first number. If you wanted the second number, plug in a 2 right there, it'll give you the second number. If you want the third term, plug in a 3 right there. It'll be 3 minus 1, which is 2. Work out that math, and it'll give you the third number. Now they are asking for the 7th number of this sequence. So you put 7 in there, okay? So let's do that right now. Let's plug in a 7, and you're going to have 1458 times negative 1/3 to the 7 minus 1 power. So that's really to the 6th power. So on your calculator, what you should type in is 1458 times negative 1/3, close parenthesis, to the 6th power. So on a calculator, I'm going to do exactly that. 1458 times, open parenthesis, negative 1 divided by 3, close parenthesis, and then on it, use the caret button to get into the exponent position, hit the number 6, hit equal, and I get my answer. And my answer is, when I hit equal, the nice, beautiful number 2. Okay, now, what does that mean? That the 7th number on this list, first number is 1458, and then it dropped to 486, but it changed signs. and then it dropped to 162, but it changed signs, that's barely the third number. 1, 2, 3. I mean, 1, 2. Well, I'm sorry. First number, second number, third number. Then you go fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. If you get to the seventh number, that seventh number will be a positive 2. So again, there's only one question like this that you have to know the a sub nth rule. So if you're that A student going for the A plus on the final exam, it's important that you memorize a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. That's it. I'm done.